one of the wooden ladder-back chairs at the kitchen table. With the caffeine kicking in, I was finally able to formulate a proper response. But Loie and Fosse never stumble around like zombies. They're always graceful, even when they've just woken up. They're more like you than me. Richard grinned. Dancers and cats do have a lot in common. Yeah, like their annoying habit of being deeply asleep one minute and leaping about the room the next. I shook my head. How do you do that? Richard spread out his hands. Don't know. I've always been able to wake up quickly. A gift, I guess. Well, it's also adorable, I suppose, in an annoying sort of way. I wrinkled my nose at him. Anyway, now that I've reached something resembling consciousness, I'll confirm it'd be great if you'd start dinner. That's the plan, then, Richard said. I assume you're walking to work today. Absolutely. The weather's supposed to be good, and unlike you, I need the exercise. Richard shrugged. I need it just as much, but it's easier for me to fit it into my schedule. I mean, it's basically a part of my job. Besides, I have to stay in shape. It's hard enough to continue to dance at my advanced age. I snorted. You're only 37. Richard's bright expression faded a little. Like I said, an advanced age, at least for a dancer. I examined him for a moment. Even if he spent more time these days on his teaching and choreography, I knew how much he still loved to dance. Oh, I expect you'll be leaping about when you're 90. You're insufferably fit, you know. Richard reached me in 3 long strides and pulled me into a close embrace. Are you complaining? Of course not, I said, my words muffled by the folds of his white cotton shirt. Although Richard was of average height for a man, I was rather short, which meant the top of my head only reached his shoulders. I leaned back and looked up into his amused face. Which is one reason I feel compelled to walk more now. I have to stay somewhat in shape if I hope to keep up with you. You're fine, just as you are, Richard said, before kissing me again. A gentle knock on the door interrupted this enjoyable interlude. Stepping back, Richard turned and called out, Come on in. Must be Lydia, he added, turning to me. No one else uses the back porch door. Or would show up so early, I said, frowning. I hope nothing's wrong. The door swung open to reveal my aunt, frozen in place, as an orange-striped tabby wound his way around her slender ankles. Hello there. Aunt Lydia held out a basket filled with muffins. I just finished baking and thought I'd share. If Fosse will allow me to enter, that is. He's taken it upon himself to be the welcoming committee, I'm afraid. Richard bent down to scoop up the cat, who snuggled into his arms and shot my aunt a triumphant, golden-eyed stare. I knew putting in that cat door was a mistake. Aunt Lydia crossed over to the kitchen island to set down her basket. I disagree. It gives the cats access to the screened porch, which provides them with fresh air without allowing them to roam outside, which the birds in my garden appreciate. It protects the cats from the wild critters wandering the woods in back of our houses, too, I said, not to mention the cars out front. Richard set Fosse down on the wood-grained vinyl plank floor. Run along, you rascal. Join your sister on the kitchen chairs. Straightening, Richard cast Aunt Lydia a warm smile. We usually have to dump them off before we sit down to eat. Which is one of the reasons my pants are always covered in cat hair. I leaned over the island to inhale the spicy aroma of the muffins. Cinnamon and ginger? My famous whole wheat spice recipe. Aunt Lydia's smile lit up her lovely face. Always elegant, her smooth complexion and brilliant blue eyes belied her 67 years, even if her hair had turned completely gray. But gleaming and smooth as liquid silver, I thought, returning her smile. Thanks for bringing us breakfast, but I suspect there's something else motivating this visit. You don't usually stop by so early. Not that we mind. Richard plucked a muffin from the basket, especially when you come bearing gifts. Aunt Lydia leaned forward, pressing her palms against the top of the oak island. It's Zelda. I'm a little worried about her. Whatever for? I grabbed 2 small paper plates from the pantry cabinet. Handing one to Richard, I plopped one of the muffins on the other before pulling a knife from the caddy we kept on the counter. Butter? I asked, waving the knife at Richard. Nope. Have to watch my figure, you know, he replied, before taking a bite from the muffin. Ha, as if. I pulled a plastic tub of whipped butter from the fridge. Anyway, what's all this about Zelda? She always seems like the happiest person on earth. I can't imagine why you'd worry about her. I caught Aunt Lydia's frown as soon as I turned around. She has her troubles, like everyone else. Zelda Shoemaker had been my aunt's best friend since elementary school. A cheery